Excuse me. I mean, an apple. Those cosmic apples. They're really good. I don't know what brand they are, what name it is, but. Okay. So, this is a video addendum about to the railgun for science. Okay, so when I made up the concept by just looking out the window there at the building, I was doing behind the scenes work like I always do, and I happened to put on a Star Wars video. And as I was watching the Star Wars video, there were some clues in there that indicate the railgun that kind of corroborate the bathroom story. So I want to show science those pictures that I took, so you can understand that, as I'm making this stuff up for science, that it's ironic that there's also like verification from other sources, and this is but one example where there's verification that indicate the story that I told you in the previous video. So I want to show you that information, and if there's any more information like regarding the specifications of it, stuff like that, I'll do another video. But I want to do this in like several different videos because there's a connection to Olivia's story, but there's also a connection to Tate McRae and Stair Mayer. So I'm going to get into those later. It's like it's autobiographical aspect. When I got into the Star Wars story, and then I got into Olivia's story, there's a connection there. So we'll do those videos next. But for now, I'm just going to stick to the basic facts of the Star Wars story, which are kind of interconnected with another story from Saturday Night Live. So there's the one there regarding the specifications for the railgun. Okay, so this was the video that I was previously watching. I put this one on, and as I was watching it, this is what I saw. I was like, "Oh my God, that looks like a railgun." Okay, so I took a picture of it because I wanted to show science. Because these here, they represent like the rails that would propel the projectile down the barrel. In my mind, there should be 8, but here you notice they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I only have 6 there. So in my mind, if the barrel is circular like that, you should have 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. That's 4, and you should have 1, 2, 3, 4. You should have 4, theoretically, or 8, I should say. Theoretically, you could draw 8 off of 8 nuclear fusion reactors. I don't know how much energy. Down here's a clue though. This is 22,000, so probably 22,000 terawatts or whatever. Like you guys use a lot of energy at CERN, right, to propel your particles. So I think you use 13.7 volt, 13.7 teravolts. So imagine something like that. So 13.7 teravolts. So if you want to know how much those nuclear fusion reactors could be, this could be a clue here. It could be these things are being the things are being produced at 22 teravolts per rail, theoretically. So when you have a better understanding of the nuclear fusion reactor, you could then get a better understanding of how much electricity it is. But if these things are using 22,000 teravolts of electricity with a nuclear fusion reactor, the more energy you use on the railguns means the faster it can go. So if you're using that amount of energy and you're propelling your particles at almost the speed of light, in theory, a projectile like that, you might be able to get up to 22,000 miles per hour. Right now, the fastest that mankind can get theirs up to is like 6,000 miles per hour. So I theorize that if you're using 22 teravolts or even more than that, you should be able to get these projectiles up to 22,000 miles per hour, which is equivalent to, I think, it would take between 40 to 50 seconds, I theorize, to reach planet Earth at 300 miles away from Earth. You don't want to be sitting on the magnetosphere. We want to be out in space. If we're out in space, it's more advantageous for us. So imagine those projectiles from space taking roughly 50 seconds to reach Earth at 300 miles. at 22,000 miles per hour. If you wonder where I came up with that calculation, I did a calculation through one of those calculators. I don't know what it's called. Right here, speed, distance, time calculator. I used that to come up with I put 300 miles in times how fast. I think it was 30,000 miles per hour I put it in. So I just used that. So if you guys want to, you type in 20, if you want to know, you type in 22,000 miles per hour times 300 miles. And you get your estimate. So. Yep. So next is these here. So in a rifle, when that projectile touches the rifle barrel, it has a spin because the barrel has striations and it makes the thing spin like that. So you need to come up with a way to spin that projectile to make sure that it's very accurate. So because if you're trying to shoot an 8-mile wide city from 300 miles away, it would help to have that spin on it because it's going to go straight. If there's no spin on it, that projectile is going to go like that as it's going down through the atmosphere. Because of how long it takes, like a minute. It's not like a bullet for a projectile that takes a minute to reach its target. There's a lot of room for error. You'd be like Hitler's gun. If you ever heard that story about that big cannon Hitler was using, where he was shooting like 4 foot wide projectiles 250 miles away. That thing was put on a set of rails, but it wasn't accurate. It was a very scary weapon, but every time they tried to hit a target, they couldn't hit the target. So you got to think of that similar thing. If you guys want to know, you just type up Hitler's big gun or something. It'll show you. You can watch videos on YouTube. For a better understanding of what I'm trying to talk about here, because for the average citizen. So big gun. So if you type in Hitler big gun, you'll get this thing here. You can probably watch any one of these, but they talk about it not being accurate. It never hit its target, not once. They fired like 400 shots, I think, before it never hit anything. It didn't come close to its target. So, we're firing something twice the size of that thing, and you'd want to put a spiral on it to make it accurate. So that's what we're looking at here. So we need to come up with some sort of spiral to make it accurate. Now, this thing here, you see that there? That's the coil. So in my original diagram, I had, if we did the coil like, let me use this here. So if we coiled it like this, right? Like if it was coiled like this, like that, guys. Then is it spinning in there? The electricity when the electricity comes around here like this first one, and then around the second one, then around the third one, then around the fourth one, it's going to add a spin to that projectile. But by the looks of this thing here, I think what we could get away with is using just a single thing like this, like either a giant nuclear fusion ring to levitate that there. So you might want to think of adding a nuclear fusion ring onto it, like a giant nuclear fusion ring to levitate it and create electricity to shoot the projectile as one option. So there's it'll be one, two, three, 4. So those 4 giant rings, they could power this weapon by itself. It's another option. Instead of drawing electricity from the 11 fusion reactors, you could create an 8-foot giant ring like that and power this weapon with that electricity. Very much in the way that the engine works. So that's one option here. 1 here, 2, 3, 4. But you could do 8. You could do it's like it could be powered by 8 nuclear fusion reactors. You could If these are what's going to levitate the projectile, then the more of these nuclear fusion reactors you have on it, or the rings for nuclear fusion reactor, the more I don't have my nuclear fusion reactor drawing. Well, you've seen it before, so if you put a nuclear fusion reactor ring around it, it's that reactor ring that would power these rails here. And it would levitate the projectile at the same time. That's one option. Or these represent like those neodymium levitation magnets. But because there's these little lights in here, I'm leaning more towards this being nuclear fusion reactor ring. So you got to think of creating a big giant nuclear fusion reactor ring inside the barrel to levitate the projectile. Now, these here would be the way to push the projectile. So you have levitation, then pushing it. So if these things here are, if the projectile is 25 feet long, you have to do the mathematics on how close these nuclear fusion reactor rings have to be. So you might want them every 5 feet, every 10 feet. So that I'd say that every 10 feet, so that 25-foot projectile is always touching a reactor when it's moving around like that, and it's not going to wobble, right, as it goes down like that. Now, these here, if you use these here, you could literally twist those rails like that to add the striation like a bullet chamber. So as these rings are levitating it, like the nuclear fusion reactor rings are levitating it, these ones here, they're twisted like a rifle barrel, which adds that necessary spiral to get accuracy. So that's this revised drawing here. I'm leaning more towards these things being powered by nuclear fusion reactor rings rather than neodymium, like the original concept. So we now have a little bit better understanding here, science, of what you need. So these are giant nuclear fusion reactor rings to levitate it and power the weapon at the same time. And these are the rails that shoot the projectile from the electricity being generated by these rails, which is levitating the projectile. And then the striation of those rails, it might add what you need there. If you know what I mean, like you're, by keeping the rails here, 8 like that, it's just going to shoot straight and it's going to wobble like that. So if these striations kind of turn like that, my thought process is that it might turn the projectile like that. And if it doesn't do that, well, then you need to come up with a way to spin that thing. The only other way is what I just showed you there is like kind of, if you add another layer of some sort of way to spin it like that at the beginning. If you use like a coil like this and you coil it at the beginning, so maybe the first 25, 30 or 40 feet, there's a coil there, and as you draw energy from the nuclear fusion reactor, and it's going around and around and around like that, as it's going around and around and around like that, it's going to begin to spin that projectile at high rate. And because the nuclear fusion reactors, they're levitating it, you're using electricity at the first of the, at first like a coil to give it the spin. And then when you fire these things here, either you can keep it straight, and then because it's spinning already inside of there, when you fire those things straight down, it goes straight, but it already has a spin on it like that, and it comes over the barrel spinning. That's one option. Or the other one is, you spin it, and then you have these magnetic rails also spin. So as it's spinning, when you're pushing it out like that, it gives it even more of a spin. So it's spinning like this already inside the barrel. And then because the striations are spinning, it adds a little bit more spin. So it comes out like that, and it's more straight. I get that out of that diagram there. So it's up to you to take what I just told you and run with it. And you got some stuff down here. There's a suction power, or like power 22,000. Okay, I don't know what that means, but it just says PA. So the VAX means like a vacuum of space. I have the drawing here, so you need to come up with a loading mechanism for it. So we'll be in the vacuum of space where this thing is, because the diagram here that I have has 11 nuclear fusion reactors, but it has this centrifugal core that rotates so that the people inside that are in here, they're flying it, if there's people in it, they can literally walk around in there. But these are if people literally fly these, are required to fly these planets to do the mission. If they can't come up with a video game to fly these, then it's up to our militaries to send pilots in these spaceships to literally fly them like a giant UFO with weaponry to shoot these projectiles. So I was always under the assumption that these guys would create a video game for us, but I don't think they know what video games are. They wouldn't. So I don't think we can rely on a video game. So therefore, we may have to rely on normal pilots to pilot these, which is the military personnel of the world. So all the armies will have to come together and fly these military spaceships to go wage war. Now, this is where you guys will be piloting it. And if you're out 300 or 400, 500 miles away from the planet, that thing could just sit there. You wouldn't need to turn your engines on, so you don't need to turn those on. Except maybe one, because if you shoot that railgun, it's going to have like a recoil. It'll recoil and it'll push the UFO in one direction like that when you shoot it. So these are 13 miles in diameter, which means you have roughly 30 miles here to fit bullets. So if you do a mathematical equation, if that thing is 8 feet in diameter and your bullets are all lined in here like that, like if they're all lined like that, and the roofs are 8 feet or 10 feet high, you can figure how many bullets you can fit in a UFO that way. So 25, let's just say 30 miles, and it's 8 feet, 20, what is it, 20, 26, 2,600 meters for a mile. No, 1,600 meters for a mile. 100 meters has 300 feet in it, right? So that's 300 feet. 300 times 8. I'm needing more towards, let's just go 10 feet. That way I can do it easier in my mind. Whereas you could fit 30 bullets in 100 meters. So 30 times 10 is like 300 bullets. So, well, let's just say 500 bullets per mile. So you do 500 bullets per mile times 30 miles. You got 1,500 bullets. 1,500 bullets can roughly fit around the entire circumference of that UFO. So you need a mechanism to move those big bullets. But because you're flying in space, you need something like the Canadarm. The Canadarm would grab that bullet and then load it into the chamber and shut it. If there's like a gate on it, you just shut it, and then you can fire it. Once it gets fired, you open the gate and you grab another bullet and put it in there. But you need some sort of a roller mechanism to like roll those bullets around, depending on which cannon you're using or which railgun you're using. Now, I have these on the side, only one on the bottom. If you're in three-dimensional space, you decide where you would want them, how it would be easier to load. I would assume, like you see here, those bullets, it'd be easier to load out the side. That's why I have it on the side. So, if you were to shoot that cannon here, you'd want that nuclear fusion reactor working here to offset the kickback. So, now, because these UFOs, they have to land on land. They don't have to, but if we want to land them afterwards on a planet, you also need to take into factor that when this UFO lands, that these bullets, they need a way to like roll like on the ground without because they're heavy. They'll be heavy. So if you land that UFO, they'll be floating in the chamber or floating in the hallway like that. So you need something to roll them along, and then you need something to keep them there in the event that when you break free of the gravity, it needs to hold them there. You know what I mean? Like if this was the ceiling. If there's a gap and that bullet says my finger, and there's a 2-foot gap on top and a 2-foot gap on the bottom, in space that bullet's gonna go like that. And then when you come down to Earth, it's gonna go. It could crash like this. It could crash like that. So it needs something to hold it there. So now we go over to here. So that here, when I said there's things that got to be about 8 feet wide, that's about 8 feet wide. So it's just another verification that the diameter has to be 8 feet wide for these things. So like that. If you look at it like that, there's the diameter, 8 feet, because that's about 8 feet if you ask me. So it's another verification that when I envision these, that they have to be 8 feet in diameter. Now, there's the video there that I was watching. This here I was pointing up at over here. I was pointing up over here because those like lasers or pink glass. So the tube, when you look at this tube here and that there represents a pink glass tube. So you have to calculate the where you can use pink glass as the mechanism to fire these, because it wouldn't degrade, and it would also give an electric charge because it's pink glass. That further increase the electricity of the output of the railgun. This is just a different angle, allowing you to see, internally what it could look like. This here, over here I took this here because there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 is red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Those are 7 colors of visible light, which make up the 8th element, spirituality, or 8. So these actually represent 8, which is another connection to 8 feet, being 8 feet long, or 8 feet wide. That arrow pointing to his back is a representation of the 8 universes in our spinal cord, which is another 8 connection. This here, I'm pointing it back up to the pink glass stuff again. This one here, I'm pointing over to these here, which we just discussed. This here has, if you look at this here, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, those 7 equal 8. I'm not too worried about these top ones here, just the bottom ones there. This here is Darth Maul gets cut in half here, so there's the top part and then there's the bottom part. So that top and bottom part is a representation of there being 2 mechanisms to this. So the one is these nuclear fusion reactor rings to levitate it, and then the coils to shoot it. Not the coils, these are the rings to levitate the projectile, and then these here is a representation of adding the striation so that it spins like that. 2 pieces. What's not on here is the concept at the beginning where I said if you wrap the coil like this until the end, in my mind I can select the it would rotate the bullet before it leaves down the barrel. So it begins to rotate it, and then these things have a little bit more striation and it starts to spin, and it spins even faster when it's going down the barrel. That's not in here, but he's only splitting 2. So over here you see how there's one here and then one here. So that thing here is a representation of adding a spin on it, okay? It has to add a spin. But if I look at that play button there, it's a triangle, right? There's a 1, 2, 3 tops to it. So if there's 1, 2, 3, it means that this has the nuclear fusion reactor ring plus the rails to shoot it, and theoretically that coil at the beginning to get that projectile spinning inside the nuclear fusion reactor. And I'm wondering if maybe it's the nuclear fusion reactor itself. If you had like 4 of them at the beginning there, and they're grabbing onto the electricity, or they're grabbing onto the magnetism, those could alone spin it like that, right? Theoretically. And then you can move it. You could use the rails to push it, right? It should be able to do that. If that's the case, well then you might want to turn those rails, or maybe use these nuclear fusion reactors maybe at different speeds. The first one maybe at a slower speed, and the next one a bit faster, and the next one a bit faster, and the next one a bit faster. And as you go down the barrel, each of those rings are spinning faster and faster and faster. Or you have them all at the same speed, and hopefully it grabs the projectile and spins it. But that thing there is a representation of there being three, three, three. So it could be the coil at the beginning like that to get it spinning first, and then you push it with these here, and then the reactors levitate it down. So this here is the skit Sara Lee from SNL, and in this right here he talks about Wreck Me Daddy and Destroy Me King. So that's a representation of us going out there getting our spaceships together and destroying, my evil children who are horrible and getting destroyed by me, who is their king. Okay, that's that. When you listen to that, that's what that means. Then Harry Styles talking about, oh, destroy me king. Oh, I see what happened. I've been getting mixing up my Sara Lee Instagram with my personal account. Okay, so now we have to go back up to here. It's on here. So then if you look at this here, this could be a representation of these could be particles. But I have to wonder, what does that have to do with the particles? Well, if you look at these things here, they almost look like the barrel, like a barrel. And these here being nuclear fusion particles. Like, breaking down the it's called a subatomic particle, but that wouldn't have anything to do with shooting a big projectile like that out of there. Unless you wanted to, literally add like a propellant, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know how guns, they use propellant, right? Like to make it exit. So can you imagine having that nuclear fusion engine added to this? Because that's what I see there. I see those nuclear fusion particles as an added way to propel that thing. So you'd have the spin on the barrel like that, and because these are the 4 elemental particles, then you draw the water from the water tank here. My push right here. So I'm coming up with this on the fly for you, science, what I see in my mind. So these here, there's water in here that the nuclear fusion reactor engines use to create the plasma drive or the supernova engine. And those create those particles, and then they have to be squeezed through that engine, right? So if you basically added those engines to the railgun, is it theoretically possible to at the same time build up that have like a gate, if this is where the holes are, if this is where the holes of the thing are, like the plasma's building up in there, if you could build up the plasma in there and then open it like a floodgate, you'd have a propellant just like a gun. And imagine that thrust being built up in the pressure sleeve, and you release it as a plasma. That plasma is going to add an extra layer of thrust to the bullet to shoot it down the chamber like a regular gun, while adding the magnetism. So you might get an extra 8,000 miles out of that, right? 8,000 miles per hour. If you could do that some way. And that way our projectiles would be firing at 30,000 miles per hour instead of 22,000 miles per hour, and allowing us to reach the Earth in 35 seconds as opposed to 55 seconds. We would shave off 20 seconds. So have a look at it that way and see if you can come up with something that way, if it's scientifically plausible. Now, is that the last of it? There it is there. So these guys did talk about obsessed with this random guy with only 200 followers. I'm giggling here because that's Olivia. I'll get to that story after, Olivia. And then it's like, for him, Sara Lee commented with a few eggplants, water drops, a train, and a ghost emoji. So that's what you see on there. These eggplants, water drop, train, and then a ghost emoji. And then Harry Styles says, that's getting railed to death. So you wouldn't know that this little skit is connected to the railgun that I just made up in the bathroom, and discovered some more information while watching that Darth Maul video, which I might add, you might want to watch this one here. I didn't show you that one either. And then while watching the Sara Lee video, by looking at the window there on the side, I could see that those reminded me of fire electrons, earth protons, air neutrons, and air or water neutrons being compressed in a plasma chamber and fired just like a regular gun. So I want to show you the Darth Maul video because that other one, it doesn't really do it justice. There's the Darth Maul. So this is one here you could watch, okay? That I'm about to show you now because there's more information in this one here. So we'll look at that one. So, getting railed to death is what we're looking at here. So, that's that there. Food for thought. And then we go. That's Olivia. We'll get into that in the next story, Olivia. Now here is that Darth Maul video. I'm laughing really hard here because I just noticed what it's actually about. What the heck is there laughing? This is a representation of everyone on planet Earth thinking I'm Satan. I watched this video a long time ago and it never dawned on me till today as I'm watching. Like, he's red, he's black, so he's got horns on his head, so... That's everyone on planet Earth thinking I'm Satan. But down here, do you see where it says 4 here, science? That 4 is connected back to this here. Right? The 4. The air pods represent like a pod, like a pod in space. And the 4 represent like the nuclear fusion reactors. And these here is a representation of those 4 particles. So you might want to consider maybe using the nuclear fusion reactor, attaching that to these railguns to get another 8,000 miles per hour out of it. Can you imagine a projectile coming down from space at 30,000 miles per hour, 8 feet in diameter, 20 feet long, hitting one of their pink glass cities and blowing it to smithereens? I don't think that thing would stand, man. And the weird thing about it is because they have a nuclear fusion reactor in its core, if that thing is running when that thing comes down, it's like a heat-seeking missile. If the light is the nuclear fusion reactor up here, and you shoot the projectile and it's coming down from over here, it's gonna kind of like be drawn to it like gravity, and it's just gonna hit in the center of the building like that, and boom, the whole thing will probably blow apart. Those buildings are 25 miles in diameter. I imagine a projectile that big with that much speed and capacity could level that entire building in one shot, one projectile. Everything would be gone. The whole building would be gone, man. It's not like you're just punching a hole in the top, man. You're going right through to the bottom floor. That projectile would probably go a couple miles into the earth. Are you ready for that, Evil? Because that's coming your way, man, if I don't get my UFO over here. Can you imagine it, guys, Evil? I'm talking to the evil spirits that are in the phone, that are electricity in the phone, who don't want to give me my UFO to save my mother because she has congestive heart failure. And I know if they brought the UFOs over here, everyone in creation gets a pardon, and we would all be celebrating. Everyone would get to live forever, man. And all I got to do is bring a UFO here for my mom. When they don't, and they rolled that dice one more time, guys, and we get our spaceships here. This is what's going to happen, this battle strategy. So, anyhow, so that's what the AirPods represent for, right? So now we go here. I'm laughing again because that's Satan. Everyone thinking I'm Satan. So I can tell what you guys already think of me, right? I'm Satan. I'm not Satan, man. That guy's not real. So I'm laughing, right? So here's like sell, right? Like, you know, buy and sell your soul. All those who accept the mark of the beast upon the forehead or a mark of the beast upon your right hand, you may not buy or sell. So you either buy my story or you sell your soul. It's one or the other, man. If you don't buy my story, you're going to end up selling your soul. And that's something you don't want to do. When if these pedophiles come here and the goddamn UFO and pretend to be something they're not, and you stand with them on that side of the fence, you need to know that you're selling your soul. Please don't do that. I don't want anybody selling their soul to these guys if they come over here pretending to be something they're not. I want you to tell them to get lost. We're going to do this diplomatically. And if you want to accuse that man of something, you can't just release a videotape and smear his name. You know, there's a process. He's told that we have to create these spaceships to defend ourselves, and that he has to lose weight and run so that we can send a message over to the elemental universe. Plus, we have to create a new phone to send that over there. And he says that if he runs, he gets skinny, that he could disable your spaceship. So will you please go wait on the moon while we see if that happens? Because we want to make sure that we're dealing with the real McCoy here. And when that happens, mankind, you'll understand that I'm the real deal and they aren't. Because if you go tell them to wait on the moon, I guarantee you, in probably a year or two, we could call them back. You got a phone that we could use? Then we pick up the phone. Hey, we're ready for you over here in the courtroom proceedings. You can welcome to bring that tape here now. Can you fly over here in the UFOs, please? No, we can't. Why is that? Why can't you? Our spaceships won't move. What do you mean they won't move? We can't move anywhere. Well, why is that? Why can't you move anywhere? Because Satan is the king. You know, so be mindful, kids. You don't want to sell your soul to something that ain't real. So there's these guys here. We'll handle this. We'll take the long way. So there's 3 guys there, but you wouldn't know what that means unless I showed you. So have a look again. So we'll handle this. We'll handle this Satan guy. Don't worry, we got him under control. You know, so that's what you're looking at there. Okay, we'll handle this. And I encourage you, please don't do anything rash, okay? These guys are very good at what they've done, and they're just gonna trick you and try everything they can to get you to do me harm. So, if somebody was accused of something, and you're on the jury, you have to be, I think they call that bipartisan. You have to be, you can't be making rash decisions based on your emotional feelings or what you feel. You have to listen to the facts before you can make a judgment call. And all I'm asking you is don't make a judgment call based on facts that you've been taught until you hear all the facts. Because you don't want to sell your soul. So we'll take care of this. No, don't stick your nose in this business because you don't know who you're dealing with them and me. I'm the real deal. They're not, but they're going to say that they're the real deal and I'm not. It's going to be very confusing for people if they come here and say that. So you need to be a good jury member and do this diplomatically. Don't take things into your own hands. Don't think that you're gonna pick up something and then do something you might regret. To me, because that's what I don't want. Because you do something fast and like quick draw McGraw. You know what I mean? Shoot first and ask questions later. Bad things can happen. So please don't do anything you might regret. Just sit back. Listen to all the facts. Don't try not to say anything, and I don't mind if you guys say a couple things about me. I'll give you a mulligan. I'll give you a couple mulligans, a few maybe. But if you have 3 strikes, and you're a social media person, or you're the news, or you're a celebrity, and I'm giving you 3 strikes to amend your mistakes, and you say something on the 4th strike, you ain't coming to paradise. Let's just put it that way, okay? If you've heard the Son of Man, you're like, anyone who talks about the Son of Man will be forgiven. Anybody who talks about the Holy Spirit will not be forgiven. I'm both of those. And I realize that people will say crap that they may regret later. I don't want you to regret, stepping over that bounds of thinking if you've broken Um, if you've broken the sin by talking blasphemy about me and you're confused, I'll let you do it 3 times, man. But if you do it 4 times, that's it, man. That's blasphemy of my holy name. So don't worry. You know, if you say something bad about me out there, don't worry about it, man. Don't stress over it. Just don't do it again. That's all I ask. So we'll handle this. We'll take the long way. So your health in your hands, okay? The watch means please watch these videos. Please listen to me talk about the book. Do your exercises. Like, this is about heart rate. Like, take care of your health. You need to start eating healthy. You need to start doing your confessionals. And you need to start running every day. You need to start eating healthy every day. That's the only way you can purge the sin from your body, especially doing your confessionals. And I haven't done any videos yet on how to do the confessional. I've done basic stuff, but I'll do more. I'll show you a more elaborate video on that later. But your health is in your hands. You need to come to the light. That's what that is, what you're looking at. And you need to have a heart, you know, and you've been taught one thing your entire life. And I know you love that. And I'm not opposed to letting, Joel Osteen, you guys still do your stuff, man. Go do that. There's good teachings there. I'm not the type of creator to deny you that, man. You can still go to your masses and do whatever it is you do that makes you happy. But please incorporate your health into your own hands. Eat healthy. Say your confessionals, and run every day. And you got to stop climaxing. That's the big one. You can't climax. If you climax, you could hurt yourself. And continue to do what you're doing. I'm not a jealous God like that other guy. You want to go there and listen to those teachings because there's good teachings there. I'm not opposed to that. What I am opposed to is, people that just keep rambling on about stuff that they really don't understand. You can't judge somebody until you walk a mile in their shoes and understand their story, is what I'm saying. So just try to have an open heart, open mind, and walk lightly. So again, I'm just laughing at that. I'm putting my head there because you can see the horns on there. I already know that you guys thinking I'm that guy, man. I would too, and I did at the beginning of the mission class. I thought I was being tricked by Satan for the first 2 months of the mission class. I wasn't sure if it was God talking to me or if it was Satan talking to me or some female. I think I was in the 4th floor psychiatric ward. It won't sound when I first started hearing a female talk to me. I was hearing her on the radio. I was like, who's this talking to me? It's like I could hear it through the DJs. I knew it was a female. I was like, she was seducing me with music, playing me love songs. I was falling in love in the psychiatric ward. And I had to tell her, stop. I'm still in love with Sherry. You're making me fall in love with you. So she stopped. And then after that, I found my own religion, which happened to have a story about Sky Woman. I didn't know that the Native Americans had a woman creator until I read my own religion. Then I let go of that other stuff because I was raised in a Christian home by my mom. So being raised in a Christian home, when the spirituality awakening happened, I didn't have any faith to cling to. I'm just like you. I understand the fear because I didn't have anything to cling on to, so I clung on to that for 2 months till I found my own faith. And then even when I found my own faith, it took me 2 weeks to let go. Say, all right, that stuff's not real. And then I let go. So I understand where you're at, and it can be scary. But I'm telling you, when you begin to do the purification, you've been following that stuff, you'll notice physical changes, literally. You won't have an urge to climax. Your brain will be clearer. There's a physical difference in the brain. Like, if you ever thought about money, like as a kid, because you're being raised by your parents, and all you can think about as a kid is like, man, I wish I won the lottery, or man, I wish I had $1 million, and I would buy this, I would buy that, buy this, buy that, buy this, buy that. And you can spend pretty much your entire life like that, every day, wanting that money. I don't have that anymore. I don't have that desire, even though I know I'm the richest man on the planet. I don't care about money anymore like I used to as a kid. So there's noticeable physical changes that you will feel when you do the purification. And when you feel those changes, that fear that you have, it will be gone. You won't have it anymore because you'll notice a physical difference and a mental difference in your thoughts and your body. But to do that, you have to do the outline the program that I'm trying to get for you, which is eating healthy, exercising, and doing your confessionals. So this here is like that's Anakin. But over here, science, you see that this here, it's like a radio wave here. It looks like a radio wave. So that's basically a radio wave. Then over here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 particles there. So think of this as being fire electron, earth proton, air neutron, and water neutron. Okay, so if this one is a negative one, that's like a little negative strike on there, and this one could be a little negative strike. And then these little circles here, one goes up, one goes down. That could be, if you add that to that little cross section like that, and then that little round piece and that little round piece is like going up and down, you have a positive. So this one is negative, negative, positive, positive. Or you could take the other route because this thing is cut in half here. That's like a minus symbol. That's a minus symbol. But because that's whole, it represents being positive. And this represents being positive. So this could be a positive fire electron, negative water neutron, negative air neutron, and a positive fire electron. Earth proton. And that being like a wave of sound. You see music there? It says sound. Sound to break the atom apart or the atomic bond here. So that's because those don't have the other half. It represents an atomic bond being broken apart. Now this here, these are the 3 amigos again. That's why I have 3 fingers there. So you got 1, 2, 3. The 3 amigos. These guys start shooting at the good guys. So it's a representation of people shooting at the good guys or me. And I'm telling you, I'm the good guy. I'm not the bad guy. So it's a representation of people shooting first and then asking questions later. Despite how I'm talking here, I'm talking like a regular normal person. But all they see is what I've done to save you guys and whatever else propaganda else is out there, and it just looks bad on me. But you don't understand. You need to take time to just digest things and then sit back and relax and see how this plays out. Because this is going to be, how do I put this? It's going to be a war, and you want to be standing on the right side of this war. You wait till I show you how the creators have come up with a parallel universe. There are 1,000 parallel universes out there with 1,000 Anthonys living in them. And I don't quite know how many wives I have out there, but can you imagine if I married Olivia Rodrigo in some of them, and if I married Tate McRae, and if I married, Camila Cabello, and if I married, Jaden, and if I married, I could theoretically, in those universes, there could be 1,000 different mothers in them. But I want to show you how those universes came into existence. And once science shows you that they're out there, by doing their mathematical equations, we always wondered how a parallel universe could be created. Now we know the answer to it. This is the best thing since sliced bread. We see it. You'll see how those universes are going to, and our soul particle are going to form together to create a big ball of parallel universes. So when that happens, that's proof that, I'm the real deal, not those other guys. And, you just need to sit back and wait and let science do their work. Because when science does their work, it corroborates my story as to being the good guy. So you need to take a chill pill and relax and listen to what science has to say. And sometimes pride can be a big issue. I know science and theology are always debating back and forth on who's right and who's wrong. But when science gets a hold of my stuff, they're finally going to have the leg they need to stand on to say, we're right, you're wrong, here's why. And if you let your pride and ego and stubbornness hold you to your belief, you're going to be standing on the wrong side of the fence. That's something you don't want to do. So, we'll go over here. This one here is, that's a representation of a laser, okay, science? And then this is a representation of another laser. But in terms of my story, this could be I have two fire souls in me. So this side here is actually male, and this side is female. So once I get those, when I eject those particles in me, when I run, I'm gonna have a pure atom inside of all 8 of my locations in my spinal cord. And these here represent air and earth. So this should be earth, air, fire, water, right? But they just represent the 4 elements. So here they're battling, but what I've noticed to me is this thing here. I don't know what that is, but it jumps out at me. It almost looks like the nuclear fusion reactor. Right? I want to go grab. Here it is here actually. But this isn't the one that I drew. That's just an example. The most recent one has that it has the beginning part where it was adding the coil to it. So if you look at this here is the hydrogen. What's that say? Water exchange unit. So the water in these tanks here, right here, there's water in here, is where they draw the water to power the hydrogen engines. So what you're looking at here is this here. That there is this here. See, those two lines are this line here, this line here. That part there is this part here. That part there is this one here. And those 1, 2, 3, 4 things is the laser section. And then that ion thing is that dot right there, like that dot. That's the ion. And then this part right here, that's the thrust. In the corner there, that's the thruster. That's what you're looking at there. You just have to know what to look for. I've watched this fight before, and I've never paid attention to it till today. So again, that square one is this part here. Those 2 lines is this here. That there is that line there. That one there could be that line because there's 2 of them there. So this could be 1, 2. That there is the laser chamber. So this is the laser chamber. That there is the ion the ion or the sleeve. So that little line there is the sleeve. And then that there is like the thrust, right? Or the thrust. And that little dot can be the ions building up in the compression chamber or the sleeve, and then force through those holes. So now we go to the next one. Here, I don't know why that says heat on there, but that it comes up as heat. What heat? Well, there's these are like lasers, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Those represent nuclear fusion reactors. 4 of them for the compression chamber or the thing. I didn't quite get to put those on there, so I got to go grab my pen and my other paper so you can see it. I'm gonna have a bite of my apple while I do this. I haven't had a bite in an hour. So, here it is here, science, okay? And this is what we're looking at here. Now, this is supposed to be the whatchamacallit? The neodymium magnet, the coil, right? And then it's supposed to have one ring like this, and one ring like this, and one ring like this, and one ring like this, right? So these are the rings that you're looking at here of the reactor. So that ring is that ring, that ring is that ring, that ring is this one. But those are perpendicular. The reason I have them on the angle is because of this thing. Remember this? If we put that there like perpendicular, like if we put it on there like that, there's a slight degree to it. So how do we type that? How do we get that degree? Is it like this? I would think so. So if we're following this one here, there's a slight degree to it. So these obviously have to be offset to the degree like that. So that's what you're looking at there. That's why I put the degree on there, because the ring is gonna like draw, or it'll draw the stuff up here, I think, first. It'll draw in here first, and then it should draw in down here first, and it should draw in here first, and then it should exit here first. Because of the slate degree on them. And the particle, therefore, should be almost going like that. You know what I mean, science? The particle here, that proton, it's going to be sucked in there first. And then it's going to kind of come down and get sucked in there, and then kind of go up and sucked into there, and then kind of go down and sucked into there. And that's how that engine is here. It's the particles are being sucked in there, and then these coils, theoretically, your coil, you're trying to compress it, but this doesn't do it justice, because these are all the same size. So let's do it again, science, but with proper perspective. So if we got one here, which is the big one, and then we got another one here, a bit smaller, another one here, a bit smaller, and then one more here, a bit smaller. The particle's going to come in here, then it's going to come down here, then it's going to go jump up to here, it's going to come down to here. That's what it would actually look like, because we're taking the nuclear fusion reactor and just moving the rings down so that we're compressing the plasma. So we're trying to compress the plasma like this, right, into a fine point. Because basically this is a star. This plasma is a star. We're taking it from the nuclear fusion reactor and we're creating a flame with it. So the thought process with the neodymium, wrapping it like this, that comes from a picture I took here in the phone. I have to go look for it now. I gotta check all these pictures here. It's a light bulb picture. There it is. So this here is where I came up with the concept, science, of wrapping that in neodymium. It's a light bulb. If you turn a light bulb like that, that's what you're looking at there. Okay? That's how I formulated that concept. But because it's different, it's more like that. Right? So I thought about wrapping this in neodymium and trying to make it magnetic so we could go press it down with high pressure magnets. But looking at the light bulb and the fact that there's 900 degrees on there and there's little particles in it, it's theoretically possible that we could create a duplex engine. Like this here could be pink glass, and how that would work, I don't know. I mean, you could, those are particles like hydrogen. I don't know what you would do with that. If you're creating hydrogen, you're basically creating plasma in these chambers somehow, some way, by superheating it. If that glass is made out of pink glass, it would have the aluminum in it to basically create an electromagnetic field through the aluminum. So I want you to look at that very hard, science, and try to come up with a concept. It's pink glass, but does it represent wrapping it with something? I don't think you can get anything out of it by wrapping it with pink glass, because you can't. And these are separate. They have like a wheel or a ring within a ring design. You can't get a ring within a ring design here. That's why I wrapped it with neodymium, because I want to use the power of the magnets of the neodymium to compress that even further by spinning these rings and trying to get a compression field in there, pushing the plasma down more. But as I'm looking at this, I'm wondering what could be done with it. what purpose could be done if we had this in neodymium? The only thing I could theoretically see is if this neodymium was somehow super cooled. How would you supercool that? How could you supercool this neodymium to create a superconducting magnet when it's inside the spaceship? One way is to have like an intake from space. Okay, so if you had an intake from space, let's say this engine is I'm gonna get okay. So if we had if this is the spaceship, and the engine sits here, you could have an intake from space here that comes in, and then it connects to that glass tube, or that pink glass tube, and it kind of wraps around like that, right? And then exit space. So if you have that, you can use the coldness of space, or this the negative 900 degrees, to super cool the neodymium magnet. You basically would wrap this is the neodymium on the plasma chamber, but you rewrap something like the pink glass around that. So here'd be pink glass wrapped around it here like this. So if you had that wrapped around like that, okay, and another set of coils, and you're drawing the coldness of space into it like that through some kind of a mechanism, like maybe an engine over here that sucks it in from over here, you could super cool that neodymium to create a superconducting magnet to aid in compressing it. I just came up with that now as the concept science. I don't know if you saw it, but that's what I see there. So you might want to consider that when you're doing your science work. So now we go back over here. So that's what you're looking at there. So those are the 4 plasma engines. All right. So here, these 4. Again, those are the electrons, the protons, and the neutrons. And then now you know what those are. Those are the 4 nuclear fusion reactor engines. Here we're looking at a plasma encased in that sleeve. Remember, there's a sleeve over here. Okay, there's supposed to be a sleeve at the end of this, that gold sleeve. So there's the gold sleeve here, right? And then there's the end here with the 25 holes on it here, and it's these holes here that create a little fluffs of plasma or ions like this. So that sleeve, it builds up it builds up the electrons, protons, and neutrons in here. All 4 of those particles, right? They must build up in there under the high pressure sleeve. So this plasma gets compressed in here. I'm going to use blue. So the plasma, as it's coming through to get superheated, it gets compressed down to a fine point like that. And then when it reaches in here, the heat, it can't escape because you're adding another high pressure sleeve to it. So there's heat in this plasma, it doesn't escape. All those particles in there, they build up at the end over here. And then they're forced through those 25 holes, right? In little clusters like that. So you have ions coming out of there, or particles, plus the plasma to push the engine of the spaceship. And that's what you're looking at there. That's like the high pressure sleeve in the plasma, because you see how fat that one is, and then over here it's a little bit skinnier. Now, okay, if I can relate that to the weapon now, we could, like, you see how there's over here there's one, then there's two, and there's three, and then there's four over here. And if you go up top, there's the same. So there's four. So there's eight there. So there's like 8 rings. So when we're looking at the weapon, the gun barrel, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So those rings represent the gun barrel. There, 8 rings. So that barrel is basically a nuclear fusion reactor. These rings are powering the gun barrel, and the projectile sits in here like that. That's where the projectile sits. And then if you have the coil, it gives it. If you have the coil, it gives it the spin. These are powering the coil, and then you have the rails that shoot it in a striation formation like that. It would spin it. So this would spin it quick, and then that would spin it like that. That's what I see here when you look at the 8. So these represent nuclear fusion ring, and that's the projectile barrel. Here it says heat. Okay, so do you remember what I told you about adding this nuclear fusion engine? So if you added this here over to here, okay, if you added that engine here, okay, if you added the engine there and then you use the plasma, if you moved one of these engines down over here over onto the railgun, you have a propellant now. So you have to somehow have something here that like a tank, some kind of maybe like for this here, okay? If you had some kind of a tank over here that you could hold that energy in, some kind of a tank, and then release it all at once. If you can release all those ions and not ions, if you can release all those protons, electrons, and neutrons here somehow, like a tank system, and then when this thing is spinning like that, you release it, and it gives it the extra kick. So the 22,000 that we have here, 22,000, right? That 22,000 is how fast it goes. But if we could add that on there, I think we could get it up to 30,000 miles per hour. That projectile, adding that on there, it's like the accelerant of a bullet, but without having an accelerant. We're using that to add a little extra kick to it. So if you're doing that, you need something on the back of the bullet. You need to add some kind of a concave system. The bullet should look like that, and it should probably have a little section like this on the inside. There'd be a little concave section there, so that when the plasma hits it there, it's not hitting a flat area. It's hitting a concave area to push it. So heat. That's what I see with that. That's pink glass, so it has to be high pressure. So because pink glass is good. So this tank, whatever this is here, like if there's some sort of a tank here, science, you want it made out of pink glass so that it can withstand the high pressure of releasing that without breaking and without those electrons and stuff flying out of the pink glass. The pink glass will keep those electrons in there. Electrons, protons, and neutrons. Here, the music. So again, you have to have music over here. Not music, but frequencies. And you have to have the tuning fork. Remember the tuning fork thing? You have to add the tuning fork to that, but also to this engine down here. So the tuning fork gives it frequencies here to help with the creation of the plasma. So now I seen that somewhere. I know it took a picture of that. I'm gonna have to go through all of these pictures to see if I can find that tuning fork picture. And then I'll be done this story. Oop. Oh, look at that. Where the heck's that go? I just noticed that there. There's like high temperature mop cleaning, so breakdown grease. So as I'm looking at that, there's something almost like a tank within a tank. You know, like this is like an outer tank, and this is an inner tank, like a double well tank. I don't quite know what that would do, but a double this here would be like a double wall tank that could somehow push this here like a. You don't want to maybe like you don't want to. You want to have two different types of engines. So this here, okay, this here has those 25 holes right here. So when we're using this this engine, we maybe not want 25 holes. So if I'm looking at that there, you want to think of this first one here as being like for the engine itself. So if the engine itself for these engines, because these UFOs are 13 miles across, they're basically 30 miles in diameter, and they're about 1,000 feet high. They're 99 stories tall. So that's a big UFO. So you need a big engine. So this thing here represents like a big engine that would have those holes in it. But for the gun, because the gun is only 8 feet in diameter, you want to downsize the engine. So that's what you have there. So this is like a first sleeve tank for the engine. So you don't want to create the exact same engine size. You don't want to take this big engine and then put it on a little gun. This big engine is this thing here, the big part. It's too big to put on there. So you want to create a similar engine, downsize it, and make it that small. So imagine that there is the imagine that's 8 feet in diameter, and the hole, that thing at the middle. Imagine that being maybe I would imagine it being the size of a tire. Okay, so let's look at that there. So imagine that garbage thing, that garbage can is how big the compression field is. So that little diameter there is being shot out at high pressure to push that, to add another 8,000 miles per hour onto the projectile. That's what I see here. That Olivia up there, as she's listening to me talk, she's like, I'm so happy to be here. You wait till I tell the next story, girl. You're not going to be happy when you see what I have to say in the next story, but it's for your own good. So, those are those. I know it's, there it is. So that there, okay. That there. If you watch this Knight's Tale here, so if you guys watch the Knight's Tale, that trailer, a Knight's Tale trailer, you're gonna see this guy here. I forget what his name is now. Heath Ledger. So he's practicing jousting. So they create this thing here for him, and he tries to joust at that thing like that. But the way they have it set, when he hits it, it spins around like that, and it'll hit him. So there he is. There he's coming at it, but that thing, it spun around, and now it's about to hit him off the horse. Well, there, the bag, it hits him after he hits that target. And then he gets knocked off the horse. So that's the target he hit there. And then that big thing came around, spin around and hit him. So when I seen that, I went and researched this because I thought, oh, okay, yeah, they got to add something on there, on the engine here. So over here, in the back here is the that mechanism. So for the frequencies. Oops, here. So you don't think of the tuning fork in the engine. These got to be really big tuning forks. Quite possibly. The tuning fork will probably be the size of the poles of like a 30-foot pole, maybe 5 feet diameter. And then you have to have something that comes around and goes cling, 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 hitting it every 4 or 5 seconds. So that frequency goes into the engine to help break apart the atoms into their 4 subatomic particles. So this here is what he says here. He says, I waited my whole life for this moment and then he says, for his whole life, this moment to break them. To break them. So to break them means to break the atom apart into their 4 subatomic parts. So that's what he's saying is when you hear a moment to break them, it means break them into their 4 subatomic parts. When you see that thing spin around on his back and knock him off the horse, that's what you're looking at. This swivel thing here is being this here swiveling around on something and hitting that tuning fork every so often so that it maintains that frequency on the engine. Like that. Whole life for this moment to break them. So yeah. So that's, I think, everything that we need for this thing here. Oh, one more thing. Well, I'm on my scientific kick here. So, you guys ever hear of a Dyson sphere? So, a Dyson sphere has been conceived by scientists, indicating that advanced civilizations would harvest the power of a sun. That's a structure around a sun. So if you look up a Dyson sphere, it sounds wonderful and fantastic. But when you consider the socioeconomic impacts of creating such a monstrosity, I don't necessarily believe a type 5, type 6, or 7 civilization would create something like that, because you can fit a million suns just across the diameter of the sun, like here. You can fit 1 million planets just across that. So if that's just across, so you times that by how big the sun is, so you basically could fit probably 1 billion planets inside that sun. So to create that monstrosity there would require probably 1 trillion planets worth of material. And for what? So you could sit in there and have free hydro? Free hydro. That's not advanced, man. Who the hell came up with that stuff, man? And how would you go get the material from a trillion planets to build that monstrosity? Not to mention the time it takes. I mean, you guys haven't even researched faster than light technology. So can you imagine trying to harvest the material from 1 trillion planets when you can't, when it takes you a billion years to get to the next star? That thing alone would take you infinity to build, is what I'm telling you, man, because you guys are living in an area where you don't have faster light technology. And even if you did have faster light technology, to build that monstrosity would take 1 trillion planets, and you'd have to take everything off the planet, kill all the animals, all the plants and trees and everything, just to harvest the little bit of metal that you need to create that. You'd destroy I would say, you'd destroy probably a billion galaxies worth of planets. It's the greatest fucking monstrosity around the sun, man. For what? Where would the people live? Would they live in there instead of on the Earth? You'd have to then create fake air, man. All other things. So, you know, I don't think you guys really thought this Dyson sphere through, man. You know what I mean? Like, think about it. Look how big that is compared to our Earth. How much material that takes, and you're only talking about metal. You can't harvest the dirt. What are you going to build with dirt? Nothing. You'd have to harvest the metal, and the metal in the planet is negligible. So, when you talk about advanced civilizations creating Dyson spheres, type 7 civilizations to harvest the energy of that planet, no, you need a new theory, man. What I just showed you, that's what a type 7 civilization could come up with, man. Not this stuff, man.